Washington, D.C. As Election Day approaches, Russia is stepping up its efforts to meddle in the election, aiming to help Donald Trump defeat Kamala Harris. U.S. intelligence officials said on Friday that Russia is employing increasingly sophisticated tactics, such as witting or unwitting Americans, in addition to trying to influence elections further down the ballot. During a 75-minute briefing with reporters, senior officials leading U.S. efforts to counter foreign foes, including China, Russia, and Iran's influence, revealed that information. Speaking on background to discuss classified matters, the officials said they could not comment on specifics, such as which Americans, if any, might be the subject of a criminal investigation, or what kind of witting accomplices the Kremlin is utilizing to assist the former president in defeating his Democratic opponent, Vice President Harris. During the briefing, U.S. intelligence officials said clearly for the first time, if not the first time, that Russian President Vladimir Putin was attempting to help Trump win the presidency in the current election cycle after he was purportedly backed by him in 2016 and 2020. When asked for a response, Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung said, Putin endorsed Kamala Harris, alluding to the Russian president's jocular statement on Thursday that he preferred the vice president. According to intelligence officials, the new initiatives appear to be unprecedented in scope and breadth, significantly surpassing what was revealed in an indictment released on Wednesday, which claimed to be a $10 million attempt to pay influencers based in the United States through phony media companies propagate Russian talking points to American voters. Moscow's influence machinery is big and strong, according to an official with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, which is in charge of organizing American counter-election intervention measures. In addition to the Russian businesses that were accused on Wednesday, there are more active Russian entities. According to an FBI official, recent charges just provide a small sample of the extensive efforts Russia is making to influence the election. Putin's mocking remarks in favor of Harris at a conference in eastern Russia, according to the ODNI source, were an example of Kremlin misinformation. Kari Lake, Laura Trump, and other prominent Republicans were accused on podcasts of having ties to Russia. The official stated that although there are many instances in which Putin's public statements have not coincided with Russian actions, such as his declarations shortly before invading Ukraine, intelligence agencies do not view them as indicative of Russia's covert intentions. When asked whether the previous president had been informed about Russia's purported efforts to influence the election, and whether Trump had rejected them, Chung remained silent. In a tweet published on his Truth social media site on Thursday, Trump personally rejected the charges from Wednesday. Without providing specifics, he stated that it was part of the Justice Department's attempt to interfere in and suppress the election in favor of the Democrats by resurrecting the Russia hoax and trying to say that Russia is trying to help me, which is absolutely false. On Friday, the Harris campaign refrained from commenting immediately on the latest U.S. intelligence. As they have in the past, the authorities said on Friday that Iran is attempting to sway the race in Harris's favor and against Trump. U.S. influencers are spreading Russian propaganda. Prosecutors accused 2 Russian nationals on Wednesday of organizing a $10 million effort to influence the 2024 election by flooding millions of Americans with false material via internet platform. On Thursday, federal prosecutors accused a former Trump campaign aide, who was Russian-American, of money laundering and having connections to a state television network that is prohibited by law. The Russian state media network RT was the subject of the lawsuit filed on Wednesday. After the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, American distributors discontinued the network. Attorney General Merrick Garland said at a press conference on Wednesday that the organization funded the disinformation operation via a Tennessee business, subsequently revealed as Tenet Media, provide Russian false material to American social media influencers and promote polarization in American politics. The indictment said that in one instance, a well-known right-wing influencer received payment of $400,000 per month for their posts. Lauren Southern, Matt Christensen, Taylor Hanson, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and Benny Johnson were among the right-wing figures who made appearances on Tenet Media. Following the indictment, some claimed they were unintentional victims of the Russian operation. Under a program known as Doppelganger, the Justice Department also confiscated 32 internet domains that Russians were using to spread false information about the election, according to Garland. According to the indictment and a 300-page appendix, the websites were designed to resemble reputable American news outlets, but they contained Russian propaganda that could be accessed and disseminated by American influence. Russia is attempting more extensive and complex electoral meddling. The employment of these conservative influencers is only one example of the more sophisticated tactic the Kremlin is using this election season, according to U.S. officials at the Friday briefing. According to the ODNI source, it was an example of Russia's propaganda operations being laundered via well-known American media figures, including the dissemination of divisive themes throughout the election. Source, Americans are more inclined to accept such influences than they were previous Kremlin initiatives, which were very obvious examples of foreign propaganda. Those earlier attempts, which are still in use, have included false identities on Twitter and Facebook, previously known as X. These personas are frequently identifiable by the absence of genuine personal information on their accounts and the number of followers they have. Although China and Iran are still engaged in the election cycle, the ODNI source said that Russia is especially concerning because of its extensive and widespread involvement in races farther down the ballot, as well as its strong capability. More, as the U.S. accuses Russia of more election meddling, Putin mockingly backs Harris. A third officer from the ODNI stated that the organization has offered to alert the Trump and Harris camps about attempts at foreign malicious influence. The official would not disclose whether any of them, or the individual candidates themselves, accepted the offer. Requests from the USA Today on whether either campaign had accepted or rejected similar briefing regarding election meddling went unanswered. The greatest active threat from foreign influence is Russia. In a formal election security report that was made public on Friday, the ODNI also said that American intelligence services still assess that Russia poses the most active foreign influence threat to this year's U.S. election. According to the ODNI, no foreign actor, including those from China, Iran, and Russia, has been detected as attempting to tamper with electoral equipment or otherwise interfere with the real conduct of the 2024 election. However, it said, Russia is seeking to intensify polarizing discourse and sway election results, aligning with Moscow's overarching foreign policy objectives of eroding U.S. power and undermining Washington's backing for Ukraine. In order to do this, Russia has built and used networks of U.S. and other Western personalities to create and disseminate Russia-friendly narratives, while trying to mask the content in authentic Americans' free speech, according to RT and fake media businesses it has established. According to the report, these actors, among others, are supporting Moscow's efforts to use strategies like targeted online influence operations on social media and websites that portray themselves as legitimate news sites to influence voter preferences in favor of the former president and diminish the prospects of the vice president. American influencers say they were tricked. In the charge papers released on Wednesday, the Justice Department stated that unregistered foreign agents for Russia founded the business that would eventually be known as Tenet Media, with the intention of influencing the 2024 election, and that it paid some of its commentators as much as $100,000 per episode. Among those who appeared on Tenet Media's broadcast on YouTube and other platforms were Republican Rep. Brian Mast of Florida, longtime Trump attorney Harmeet Thilan, former Trump national security aide Kash Patel, and Trump's daughter-in-law Lara Trump. Other prominent figures who have been on Tenet Media and supported Trump include Republican Kari Lake of Arizona, who is running for the U.S. Senate, Vivek Ramaswamy, previous Republican presidential candidate, and Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic congresswoman from Hawaii, who just embraced Trump. By Thursday night, a number of the videos had been removed and were replaced with a YouTube notification stating that the related account had been terminated after an indictment from the U.S. Department of Justice and a careful review. As part of our ongoing efforts to combat coordinated influence operations, a YouTube spokesperson stated, the accounts had been removed. On Johnson's broadcast, Lara Trump, Mast, Thilan, Lake, Patel, Ramaswamy, and Gabbard made appearance. He said on Wednesday that he was also a victim of the Russian scheme.